שם משפחה אני אתן לך?
היא תגיד אותו, הוא נורא קשה. היא ג'זליה, נכון? כן. ג'זליה. ג'זליה.
ג'זליה.
ג'זליה? It's good you're saying.
Sorry.
אנחנו מתחילים, בעזרת השם.
היהדות שלנו, המצוות, העבודה על המידות, הקשר שלנו עם בורא עולם, אצל כל אחד מאיתנו זה כל כך אחרת, סובייקט, אובייקט, לפעמים עוברות שנים, וגם הקשר שלנו עם אלוקים, עליות, מורדות, אנחנו. אבל יש אנשים שנולדו גויים, יש אנשים שנולדו כל כך רחוקים, משהו של ציפור קטנה בלב לא עוזבת ומבקשת מהם, תתחברו אל תורה, אל מצוות, אל יהדות. מה קורה שם? בנפש עמוק פנימה, כשפתאום תופסות מקום, מצוות, תורה, הלכות. נדבר היום עם אישה אחת מופלאה, בת של כומר פרוטסטנטי מטקסס, שלא ויתרה, וזה נקש ונקש על הדלת, הרצון הזה, האהבה הזאת, להיות חלק מהעם הזה, של עם שומר תורה ומצוות. שלום, ג'זליה.
Shalom.
How are you?
Baruch Hashem, thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for coming, and your name is G'zlia?
G'zlia.
G'zlia?
כן.
ויאריאל.
Yes. Yes, there's resh, double resh.
Double R then.
כן, ויאריאל.
Viareal.
Yeah.
So I'm making a spoiler and saying that you are an Orthodox Jew today.
כן.
You live in
רמת בית שמש.
You have 6 children and then another one really ticking on his way. But you weren't born Jewish. And you made a whole big, long trip to be part of our nation.
כן.
Can you tell us, please, when it all started and what were your life? What was it like then?
I always grew up religious since I was born. My parents were pastors of a church, and before that, my grandparents were pastors, ministers, and everybody involved for many, many decades. And so I was always considered religious and very involved in the church, in my spirituality, you know, wanting to learn more about God. And everything just changed when I was 17. Before that, I come from a church where we did church on Shabbat, Friday, Saturday.
Explain us a bit, because we don't really understand nothing in the Christian world.
Can. So Christians usually go to church on Sunday. On Sunday, that's their day of rest. Right. Ours was Friday sundown to Motzi Shabbat, Saturday evening.
It's nice you're talking with Motzei Shabbat now, talking about that period.
Shabbat, and that's how we observed it. I remember my parents would always tell us, prepare your things, iron your clothes before Shabbat starts, and no more TV. Yeah, everything has to be turned off. And we go to church on Friday night. We wake up in the morning, Saturday morning, and we go to church all day long. We do just avodah, like, you know, all day.
But as a Jew in Israel, I have to understand this, because usually you go to church on Sunday. Okay. So it's a little amount of people that go to church on Saturday. You are part of a community?
It was part of an organization. It's called Church of God's Seventh Day. Okay. And it came from the Adventist movement. Mm-hmm. And there was a lady who started it who came from that branch. And later on we found out that she was Jewish.
Wow, you know, it's generation after generation, something was left there, and then it's Shabbat.
Ken.
But you were not Jewish.
I was not Jewish.
You went to church on Shabbat?
Yes.
What did you do there?
We did singing. We learned whatever, you know, we had like Devar Torah, but my father would teach about the New Testament, you know, the Christian Bible, and then the Old Testament. We grew up like that. We also didn't celebrate Christmas. We didn't celebrate no pagan holidays.
Okay.
All of that was it was asur for us.
Wow, it's a special one kind of.
It was. And also we didn't eat pork. We didn't. It wasn't kosher for us. We didn't eat unclean fish. Everything that's in Leviticus, we didn't do any. We didn't eat any of those unclean animals.
Wow, and from the little age, from the very young age, are you there a girl that is interested in what are we doing? Why are we doing this? I mean, there are girls that ask questions all the time, nudniks, you know. And there are girls that they just do whatever Abba Ima says. Did you try to understand what's going on?
I understood from the very beginning. Like, it was life for us. I went to a secular school. That's how Christians are raised. You go to a school, regular school, and then you have your church life. So because I was the daughter of a pastor, my home life revolved around the church. We were always busy every day preparing for the week. When we eat, we pray, things like that. I was very different from the kids at my school because of my spirituality and knowing what's good, what's bad, keeping myself at a distance from the bad influence.
Wow.
So that's how I just grew up. It was just natural for me.
You know, you're talking and I'm thinking a minute as our lives as Orthodox, Israel, all over the world, and a minute trying to imagine you as a girl, and there are things that are really alike. Nachon?
Yes, I think so. I think that's why I call myself, the term FFB, from birth. And also me, I was just born like that, just very spiritual and very religious, my family. And I think what kept me more spiritual is that I started developing a love of music and dance when I was 7 years old. And I learned that outside of the church, like at a studio, a proper studio, technique and everything. And what I wanted to do is because I didn't fit into their box, secular music. I didn't want to do that. What I did is I brought that gift that Hashem gave me and I put it in church with spiritual music. Wow. It was my way of serving Hashem,
Yeah, but you didn't call him that
I called him
then. God. You said the FFB.
Okay.
It's just making me think about BFF, best friends forever. It's quite similar. But then you're growing up and you're being a teenage girl thinking about what you have here. Okay. What was the minute that you understood that you're going to change something, or was it the opposite way around? You looked around and you said, "Look, this is not exactly what's right to live as." What happened there? Can you put us in your soul, this girl that starts to think about what happened?
Well, the first thing, it wasn't me. It was actually brought on from my mother. My mother has always been a very studious person. She loved to learn, like the Bible. She was always learning. And like I said, we didn't celebrate pagan holidays. We really didn't celebrate anything as a church, a Sabbath-going church. So my mom, she just got bored one day and she said, "We're so boring. We're boring Christians because we don't do parties. We don't do any festivals." So she said, "You know what? Maybe we do Shabbat. We're closest to, the Jewish people. So let me see what there is there." And so from there, she started looking into the Messianic movement. I don't know if you're
What is this
Messianic movement are Christians who incorporate Jewish customs into Christianity. So it's like two together. Okay. They say that their God, I don't know how to say it, Yashke, came to fulfill the prophecy.
Oh, they're very connected to Jewish religion?
Yes, they call themselves Jews for Jesus. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I know that evangelist people, there is a kind that they like Israel very much, and they are really, they have similar ideas that are very good for the Jews, but I don't exactly know what's going on there.
No, right. They believe in their God and their Messiah, that's Jesus. But they feel like they're also Jewish, so they want to do all the festivals and everything like that. But their Mashiach is Jesus, and they still believe in the prophecy that he's God, that he's Son of God, and things like that. So
through them you came to Israel.
That was part of our journey, because we were still Christian. My father was a pastor, so we thought, okay, this is the closest thing to us. So we went through there. My mom learned about Sukkot, about all the festivals, and then Gush Katif happened.
Oh,
that was in 2005.
Right.
And because of Gush Katif, my mom, she felt very connected about what was going on here. She felt very moved and hurt for the people of Am Yisrael, and she just began talking to us about it, and even to the church members, like what's going on here. And she wanted to come herself here to come help out. But my father didn't really want to, because it's over here in the Middle East, where it's war all the time.
And it's all this time you live in Texas?
All this time we live in Texas.
Okay.
So that's what happened. I think that was a turn of things, that during this Gush Katif evacuation, my mom started listening to the news here in Israel. But as she was listening to the news, she started listening to all the rabbis' shurim, because there was rabbis like speaking all the time. And she had never heard all the stories. We only had what was in front of us, the Old Testaments. It's, we don't have much more. You guys we have the oral Torah, we have everything, the Midrashim and all these things. And so she got
knowledge.
Rich, exactly. The good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff.
And so she started learning a lot. And one day she just asked herself, like, these rabbis are so smart. They're so wise. They're so holy. But why isn't it that they don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah? It was something that she didn't understand. And so she went on her journey to research. And from there, this is all my mom's doing. We don't know anything. I have an older brother and a sister. And at that time, my husband was my fiancé.
Oh.
And so
his name is Yosef, right? Daniel.
Yes.
The original name is Jose, right?
Yes.
It's nice to understand that Jose is Yosef, it's the same name.
Yes, and we kept our names. He kept his name Yosef. He just changed it because it's Jose, and he kept it Yosef.
So she came to Israel?
She didn't come to Israel.
Not yet.
No, she didn't come at all. My father thought it was too dangerous for her to come. So from this, she sent my father here with my fiance at the time, Yosef. And they got to learn the first time in Israel. When they went to Gush Katif, they wanted to come like the good Christian people, like, I'm here to help, and the army didn't let them go. It was a very sensitive thing. So they ended up 2 weeks here, walking around Eretz Israel. And
this is a point I have to understand with you. I have you now, I can ask you questions. So I don't have lots of people that made such a journey I can ask, so I'm asking you now. They came to Israel, they wanted to help us. Yes. Right? But their help wasn't really, they couldn't get in, right? And it's such a frustrated emotion that you want to give Israel and you want to give Jewish people, but they neglect you. I mean,
push away.
They push away. Did they talk about this feeling of them? Because it's not easy when you want to give and the other says lo rotze.
I don't think at that time they understood. At that time, we were even though we knew about the Jewish people, we always thought about it as a biblical term, from people of old, like the old times. So when they came, they weren't looking for a deep thing. As soon as the soldiers told them, like, no, they understood maybe it's protocol, It's just a dangerous situation.
Security or something like that.
Later on, as we're Jewish, we learn that the Jewish people, we have pain. It's a very sensitive subject. Everything, we hurt. We've gone through a lot as a people. And I think later on we learned to be like, okay, this is exactly what happened. It wasn't so much that we push people off. It's that we're just very sensitive, I think, as a people.
Oh, Ziofi, that's nice. And then your fiancé comes with your father. And they start to understand that there is a rich knowledge that you can touch in your life, that you could be together with.
Yeah, I think they got to learn a lot about the Jewish people, how simple, how true it really was compared to what we've been taught. Here also Christianity, when they did go to the Christian groups here, very different than what we were used to back in our own church. And as they're here and they're traveling and they're learning more, my mom is at home selling all of our stuff because she wants to make aliyah. And we're not Jewish. We don't.
Ken, it's like, what will you do here?
Yes, exactly. So I remember she sold all of our furniture. I slept on a mattress on a bed. And we were just telling everybody at church, we're moving to Israel. We're moving to Israel. And I'm not understanding why, but I'm excited.
Because your mother was.
Because my mother was, but it was just, it felt like a connecting time. Like we're coming back to, it really did. It felt like we're coming back to our roots.
Wow.
You know?
I know, but I admire your mother because she's not here now, but I see what she gave to the world, you. And I understand through what you're saying how as mothers we can give feelings to our children, even these feelings of believing in something, of being connected to something.
Right.
I see your eyes now.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. Thanks to her, you know, we are where we are right now. And
where did she bring this from?
I think from her father. My grandpa, from what I remember and what she tells us, is that he was always very studious. He always fought for the truth. There was a time during our church movement that they wanted to become more radical, you know, more liberal.
Yeah.
And my grandfather was always opposed to it. He wanted to keep old customs from what he was taught.
I know, and I'm listening to you, and something is getting to me very clear. On you, on your family, because you're not Jewish yet at this point when we talk, but there's something that in the Jewish understandings, we have generations of genes. You know, we go through these years, and something in your family is keeping these exact things. That this is us, the Jewish nation is I'll say it in Hebrew, the Am Shel Masoret. We're keeping things and we're going through life, through time, but we are keeping things. It's something very deep in us. We're good at it.
Yes.
And you had it in your family.
We did, even to the point where we weren't allowed to seek for our spouses in another church setting, even Sunday. Everybody who we thought we would, you know, later date and marry had to be within the church because the customs, they won't understand the no celebrating Christmas, the going to church on Sunday, not on the Sabbath. So we made sure we connected with other churches around. Like my uncle had a church, his own church. Still has a few of my uncles around Texas. So we always made sure that we connected to everybody. So yeah, the customs, we did hold on to it. We kept it.
Yeah, I see it.
And it kept us. And Shabbat kept us.
And Shabbat kept you. You know the definition of, we say in Hebrew, Erev Rav?
Ken.
I think it's like people exploded all over the world. And that's part of the history times. And then we come back to Abba Shebashamayim, each one with his way, but here you are. And then how did all the convention happen?
From there, I think my fiance, my husband, and my father, they came back.
Okay.
And my mom had already, she's a pharmacist doctor. She went to school and got her degree in pharmacy, and she took a big break from work. She closed herself off, and day and night, I didn't see her. And she wouldn't come out. She barely went to church anymore. We knew that something was going on. And eventually found out, she called us in, me and my siblings, and she told us, I've been doing a lot of praying, a lot of research, and what I've come to see is that we've been doing avodah zarah. And we need to get out of the church. We need to just leave all this behind. She explained us with more things. She was telling us, look, I'm comparing the Bible. There's a lot of mistakes in the Christian Bible itself. It's leading us in the wrong way. Things were changed along the years. They were changed, and I really feel like we need to leave.
You are making me as we speak now, goose skin.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Yes.
Because this is very special what you're saying to me now.
It was a
thinking
it was a
deeply.
very hard time. It was a very hard conversation, but it was a very refreshing conversation because I think I trusted my mom.
You trusted her.
I trusted my mom. She would never want to steer us into the wrong way. She was the head of, you know, you look after your mom and you follow footsteps.
It's also very Jewish, listening to what Abba says, what Imma says, generation after generation. Wow, this was a big talk, a big, deep talk.
Oh, it was. It was very, very deep. Since I was very spiritual, I think a little bit more than my brother and my sister, I was more involved in church. I just got it. I feel like I got it. And my only question at that point was, Ima, like, Mom, what about my soul? Because as Christians, we believe that if we don't believe in Jesus as our God or as a Messiah, then we don't have salvation.
Oy.
You know, so it was very hard for me to understand then what happens because he's in the middle. We can't get to God without him.
Wow.
So she just turned around. She told me, you just got to be a good person. And God hears you.
You're connected to him straightly. Directly.
And that was a concept we never knew before.
And you relied on her.
I did. I did. And I was very excited. And I was just relieved. I felt like, okay, we're going. You know, we're moving along.
You know, I have friends that were not Jewish and now they are. And it's all the time this question that you ask somebody, what do you need this for? I mean, saying to you when to pray, why to pray, what to wear, what to eat, where to go, this day, stop, the sun is going. But you, I feel now that this is not a question for you. Because when you have something that fires you from the inside, it's not a question, it's something that is outside there and you want to be part of.
Okay.
And it's not asking you, what do you need all these Jewish rules for? Because it's not something that it's on you. It's something that comes, it's other kind of people that convert, you know what I mean?
Convert, yes.
Convert.
Yes. I think, like I said, I think music and the arts kept us really, it's mine and my husband's mission. It's our purpose, why we're here and why Hashem has us here. And I think through that connection, it's the air we breathe. Hashem, he's like, you know, we can't live without him. When we did for a while, because after we left the church, which was a few months after this, we all kind of went through our own journeys. My parents went through their own journey. I was engaged. So me and my husband wanted to get married. We were planning a wedding. My brother and my sister didn't want anything to do with religion after this. They didn't know what to do. They just were tired of it. And me, I think confused. I think I was hurt because we left a lot of family. We left, my family didn't take it good. I'm come from a Mexican family and it's we have a lot of cousins and uncles. So it was very hard for me because my wedding was something that's supposed to be big. It was a small, intimate thing.
Where did you get married?
In Texas.
Still not Jewish.
Not Jewish, but also not Christian.
Yeah, it's like not here and not there.
Yeah, it was just stam, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a period of time that you were not connected to them and not connected yet to.
Right, it was, and that we just all went through our own journeys. My parents wanted to convert right away. They converted. They left the church, and a year later, 2007, my mom and my dad converted. Me and my husband, I think it took us a bit longer because we were so connected to church through music, and that had kind of stopped.
Yeah.
There wasn't any more, you know, every week we would practice, we would present in church like a concert, and that stopped all of a sudden.
It's also something social.
Yeah.
That you have, you know, all the love from the other people giving you existence.
Very, very much. So I think we took a break, and it wasn't until I was pregnant after we got married a couple of years later. I got pregnant with my son. I come from, like I said, I have an older brother, and he has a son. And at the time, he was 3 years old. And I remember I found out that I was having a boy, And I told my mom, I called my mom, and I told him, and I called my brother. And my brother told me. It was very sad for me.
Why?
Because my nephew was diagnosed with a sickness, and he stopped being able to walk at a year old.
Why?
And so he went through a hard time. My family went through a hard time dealing with this. And at that time, my brother was just hurting for me. He didn't want for me to go through it. Mm-hmm. So he told me, if you need help, you know, I know how to help you take care of it, meaning if you want to get rid of it.
Wow.
You know, it was a very hard thing. And at that point, I didn't understand where he was coming from. I was more mad. And I spoke to my mom about it. And she told me, look, your brother's going through a hard time right now. We were talking about God. We were talking about spirituality, you know, was something we hadn't done in such a long time. And your nephew turns around and tells me, Grandma, who's God? At 3 years old. And it broke my heart into so many pieces, because since I was a baby, my parents always taught us who God was. At 3 years old, I knew who God was, you know? And it just felt like the disconnect from the church, from spirituality, just, it disconnected them. And my brother lost a lot of faith, you know, in God, in himself and everything. And I just told my husband, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to bring my son into this world and not teach him who God is, because I know who God is. Wow. And we made the decision there to take our conversion serious, because we missed God.
Wow.
We missed him.
You missed God.
Yeah.
What is making you cry now?
I think I put myself in that time, you know, how much we miss when we go so far away from Hashem, you know, and we just wanting to come back. So,
wow.
So that's what made it.
You're a real Jew, I must tell you.
I'm sorry.
Wow. And you know, our tears, they don't come out of our eyes, you know. Right. It's the end of the system of the tears.
Right.
They come from the bottom of our hearts when we touch something very deeply. And Hashem is very deeply, they say, Chazal says, that in each one of us, chelek eloka mima'al. We have inside of us, Hashem is inside here, is outside there, and we only have to connect. But when you're talking about a baby and a 3-year-old boy and giving another generation the belief in Hashem, this is very deep for us Jewish women. Mm-hmm. So how do you go from that point?
From that point, we got into the community there in our city, and me and my husband started a formal conversion. We spoke to rabbis. We told them, we want you to supervise us. We want to convert. We had a rabbi there, Orthodox, who went through the whole conversion process with us. My husband started going to shul regularly and learning.
I have to understand something in this point. As an Israeli, how do you know while you're there, it doesn't matter in which country now, which kind of being so you went to this Orthodox rabbi, right? Because you knew that an Orthodox way of being Jewish is the best. How do you know what to choose? How do you know what's right? Because there are all kinds of.
My mom did that research before when we were in church.
Okay.
And she found, it was 3 categories at the time. There was conservative, reform, and Orthodox.
Right.
So reform, she felt it was too liberal for us, especially with the customs. Like I said, we were strict with our customs. And then she thought Orthodox was too much for us, that they wouldn't let us in.
Yeah.
And then conservative was, okay, let's try this one. But when they went to it, they had some other things that my parents didn't agree that they did. So they decided, okay, so none of these options, we're going to Orthodox. They either take us or they don't. So we went to Chabad. Wow. A Chabad shul that was there in our city.
And then starts a motion of, starts a minute when you start to learn?
You start to learn. You talk to the rabbi, you tell them what you want to do, it's there. And the rabbis have the custom of the halakha, of like turning away. For our family, that didn't happen. For some reason, I don't know. I hear a lot of stories of people having a hard time converting and being accepted in the community. For us, it was very natural. We didn't have that problem. And we felt very welcomed from the beginning, which I felt it was Hashem, like, hurry, come home.
Making you hospitality in his Jewish places.
Yes, even the Rebbitzin, when I first met her, we met her on a Shabbat, the Chabad Rebbitzin. She offered me a job as a assistant teacher in her Hebrew school.
Wow.
I had just met her, and she told me, you need a job? I'm like, oh, yes. And she told me, come work for me.
How can you explain this?
Hashem.
Yeah.
Hashem.
We have to know how much he's here when we need it. When we need him. Wow. And then you start learning and learning. What was the hardest thing to learn? I mean, the halakha, what did you like to learn more than the other?
My favorite is holidays. The Hagim were always my favorite because it revolves around like the woman and her role, what everything, all the details of it, preparing the table, making it beautiful, like it's our job to set the mood.
Do you still have friends from Texas that ask you once in a while what's going on with you? Or
They don't ask us what's going on. They see, now that there's a lot of social media, they see what's going on and what we do. Before it was like this. Yeah. After a while, they see that we're not coming back, so they accept it. I mean, they don't agree with it, but they accept it. Like my husband's parents are not Jewish. They're Christian, and so there's that common ground of like, I don't agree with you, but it's been a long time, so we're
honoring each other.
Yeah.
And they come to Israel to meet you? Wait, I have a jumping in time here. Because when did you come to live in Ramat Bet Shemesh?
So we converted in 2010. By the time we wanted to convert, it was the end of 2008. And then we converted in January 2010. So it took us a year for everything. And my husband and I, we had to separate because we had to get married again.
Right.
Under the chuppah. And we had a second wedding. And then after that, 6 months later, we made Aliyah.
Like, you had the white dress at the second wedding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Rabbi. Yes, the rabbi said yes.
You felt, like getting born again.
Yes. Yes, and because it's always been my husband. Also, it was my only husband, so.
It's the same person.
Yes.
People talk about the last Shabbat as non-Jewish, and then this first Shabbat that you have to keep it because you chose this way of living. You remember this first Shabbat?
I do. It was meaningful. It felt more spiritual. I felt at home. Inside, it felt like
You felt at home.
Yeah.
You're a very spiritual girl, huh? What with your music today?
My husband and I, we both work on music together. Of course, separately, but we work on music together, which is fun to do with my husband. Right now, he performs all over the world. He actually has a religious mariachi band also. He does solo stuff. He has a song with Nissim Black, and also he does a mariachi group that's performing, and they have a lot of things going on. And I perform for women and girls.
Wow.
Yeah. When we came here to Israel, I met a friend of mine. I'm a very good friend. And we both started a dance and music school in Ramat Bet Shemesh for women and girls. And it's something that grew into something big. We started with 20 girls, and then right now it has 200 women and girls.
Wow.
Something that was very needed. I felt during this whole time that Hashem was preparing me, because I did do it in my past life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to this caliber, you know? But when we made Aliyah, I felt like, this is what you're preparing me for. Now I'm going to use it and be, and bring you more honor. Holy. Yeah. I'm going to bring you more honor and do it the right way with these girls who need it. They don't know how it is. And I've seen girls grow in their spirituality and just also in akdut, togetherness through dance and music. It just brings everybody together. And the past 2 years, I don't go to the academy anymore. It's called the RBS Dance and Music Academy. My friend Shaked now runs it. And I'm just singing, I'm performing. And it's such a great thing. My husband too, we're making music. We're trying to do our part to bring in more Kedusha into this world, you know? Because that's what we breathe.
Amazing. You know, it's like Hashem plants in our life things, skills that he knows we'll have to use afterwards.
Okay.
But in a holy way, in a very Jewish way. Amazing. You live in an Orthodox place, right?
Okay. Yes.
Do the neighbors, do you feel that people look at you in an other way, that sometimes somebody says, Georet, or is everything?
It's, again, never. Wow. We've been very open with our history since the very, very beginning. And when we first started, even people who converted, they would tell us, how are you so open?
Yeah.
I don't tell people that. People don't know that I'm this or this. And I'm like, why? And they said, I don't know how you do it. And I say, I've never experienced that. Oh. Everybody's been very accepting of us, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. I even told my oldest, because my oldest did the conversion with us when he was a year and a half. He had to go to mikvah also. And so I tell him, you also converted. And he just had his bar mitzvah last year, and he had to, you know, accept the mitzvot in order to stay Jewish. Yeah. And we tell our kids, your parents come from this, so that they know, you know, it's not something to be ashamed about. It's just a journey that Hashem took us through.
So if your child goes to the yard outside, slips the slides, and another boy will tell, they are built strongly and they know who they are.
They know who they are. But I think also the community that we've been a part of, they also accept it. We've never had that problem.
Exception. Yeah. That's the word. Because, you know, I think you're doing something, because this program is called Patuach in Hebrew, which is the word open. And when you put on the table open things, you open them and you don't hide them.
Right.
You can be you can be real, and you can be born non-Jewish and now do mitzvot, kahalacha, and everything is okay.
Openness is very important. Because you're able to show who you are, you know? And throughout the years, I think me being open, I was able to also be open to learning from my community. I always tell the girls in the community, because I've had a big influence because of the academy. I learned through you guys how to be the Jewish woman I am. Wow. From your customs, from your being different, from you being different, from your families, what they observe. I brought that all into my family.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I connect with so many people, because it's like everybody. I'm learning from everybody. It's important to be open.
So I must ask you this last question.
Sure.
Do you miss something?
From my past life? Absolutely not. Maybe just my family. Having that big, large family. Right now it's just my parents, my brother, my sister, and my husband. I think if I had my cousins, you know, if they were also with us.
Aren't they coming to visit sometimes?
No.
Never?
No.
Never come to you?
No.
And what did you say before about your husband's parents? They're not Jewish, they're Christians, but they do come to visit?
No, they haven't come. We had gone one time to visit since we left America. But no, it's just us.
Wow.
But the community is like our second family.
When they will see this interview between me and you, what will they say to you, do you think?
My family or the community?
Both.
Both. My family, I don't think they'll get it. Our extended family, I still don't think they get it. It's kind of like, ugh, here they go again with their story, you know? The community is very proud. The community is very proud. We're very known in the community, and every time we have something, they're very, very proud and supportive, you know? So, Baruch Hashem for that.
Baruch Hashem for that. You know, we have to finish now, but you're making me think. And it was this meeting that day that I said, hi, my name is Efrat, I'm a Baalat Tshuva. And then this woman says to me, why do you always say this, that you're a Baalat Tshuva? Why? And after she went, I was thinking deeply, and I said to myself, because this is who I am. I wasn't religious, I now am. This is who we really are, נשמות יהודיות.
Right.
ג'זליה, thank you very much for
Thank
this
you.
talk.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're lovely, thank you. תודה רבה.
Thank you.
כמה הנשמה היהודית הזאת שלנו, מתחת להכל, מעל להכל, מבקשת קרבת אלוקים, ויש כאלה שזוכים לה. תודה שהייתם איתנו, וגם אם לכם יש שאלות על ריחוק, על קרבה, בכל תחום, זה לא ממש משנה. נפשי בשאלתי, הידברות, מחכים לטלפונים שלכם, התקשרו. תודה שהייתם איתנו. אז איך הכל מתחיל? איך צומח צמח? ככה? להנביט אמונה בילד, להנביט בתוכנו מהלך חדש שאנחנו רוצים. בואו נזכר בתרגיל המוכר שעשו לנו בגן יונה. לקחו תבנית, שמו בה צמר גפן, וזרעו פסוליה שועית גדולה לבנה כזאת. לפעמים דברים שעשינו פעם אנחנו שוכחים לעורר דרכם דברים בבתים שלנו. קחו תבנית, שימו בה צמר גפן, תרטיבו אותו. שימו בפנים, תחביאו שעועית, כזו שקונים בכלום מהעסקים אצל החנות תבלינים. תשקו, חכו, תקראו לילדים לראות איך בעיניים שלנו רואים אותה נפתחת, ונבט קטן, ירוק, לבן, יוצא ממנה ומתחיל לצמוח.